By the end of this video, you're going to be familiar with the story behind the numbers of DocuSign, believing that they're redefining how the world comes together to agree. Let's dive in so that your wisdom can blossom. Income statement. Overall gross profit is healthily increasing. Not enough to overcome the very large sales and marketing budget. Here we have a company that is losing money every year. However, they could easily start making money if they just cut back on the sales and marketing. Statement of cash flows. The net losses every year are never large enough to prevent the company from making cash after accounting for things like non-cash expenses. In fact, roughly speaking, it's the stock-based compensation expense alone which is the difference between this net loss and money being generated. Also being impacted increasingly so by this row here, amortization of deferred contract acquisition. We also see this language pop up in the working capital on this row, deferred contract acquisition, and this row, contract liabilities. Both of these rows are the largest rows in working capital management. Therefore, in the conclusion of the opening move, let's try to understand what this company is talking about when they're talking about contract liabilities, acquisitions, all these different things. They have a section called identification of the contract, but not really giving what some would consider a helpful explanation, keeping it very surface level. Sales and marketing in the case of DocuSign is not so discretionary. This company has willfully decided to turn their definition of sales and marketing into an intangible asset. Sitting on this idea for a moment, but it's not unlike how lawyers, as they increase their position in legal firms, start to get special bonuses for bringing in and keeping customers with the firm. Sometimes when a high-profile lawyer leaves one legal firm to go to another legal firm, they take a lot of customers along with them. That's what this tries to capture. If certain key personnel leave, the special type of accounting is capturing key man risk. The sales and marketing cost is not necessarily the same as stock-based compensation. These are different types of bonuses beyond the stock-based compensation. A business where it really matters who you hire and who you hire knows. Given what surprised me about the nature of sales and marketing, I've actually pivoted to looking at intangible assets, tangible asset recorded for customer contracts and related relationships. They're estimating a useful life here of 5 to 10 years. This is in contrast to in the carrying amounts for the deferred contract liabilities. They were saying that they are expecting an average life of just 2 years. There's a gap between intangible assets here and contract liabilities, which, as we just saw in the notes, but kind of deep in the notes, are kind of touching on the same thing. Returning to the cash flow statement, visually what I'm describing is that this row and this row assume that these contracts last 5 to 10 years. However, this row assumes that the cost of acquiring that contract should be amortized only over 2 years on average. This gap directly leads to net cash provided by operating activities. The company generates money when they get a contract that they're going to be paying for 2 years, and that contract then pays off, creates revenue or cash for 5 to 10 years. And that's the name of the game. On the income statement, which we've returned to now, this row, sales and marketing, will increase slower than the subscription revenue, because sales and marketing goes up for roughly 2 years, and then subscription revenue goes up for at least 5, maybe as much as 10 years. After the first 2 years, sales and marketing will tick down again, but the subscription revenue will stay up. And that's how this business is managing its income. That's very much why subscription revenue and sales and marketing expense are the two biggest rows on here. Hey, if you're getting more comfortable uncovering the stories behind the numbers, please like and subscribe. So let's calculate the growth rates on these two rows in particular. That's the only way we're going to actually be able to transform this income statement into something that measures the actual performance of the business. From 2 years ago to 1 year ago, the expense went up about 25%. The revenue went up about 55 to 60%. revenue growing faster than expenses. From 1 year ago to the last year, expense went up about 20-ish%. The subscription revenue went up about 20-ish%. What we should be taking away as investors is that's slowed down significantly. This net loss implies that they haven't made it to a stable state yet. This company was never going to make profit on year one. It needed to build up a customer base before it could generate profit, and it's getting so close. They're still on a path towards profitability. It just became a significantly less comfortable path in the latest year. They have a bullet point celebrating that sales and marketing became less than 50% of the percentage of revenue in the latest year compared to being just above 50% in the year before. Now, what they're kind of glossing over here is that the improvement from 2021 to 22 was a lot larger than the improvement in the last year. This 2% improvement is what we were touching on in the income statement. Basically all boiling down to investing in the workforce. Higher average headcount, annual salary increases, higher commissions in line with higher sales, and higher payroll taxes. In this case, a company taking care of its employees pretty efficiently to the point of just barely staying on their path to profitability. We're now going to call in the Sage Seeds AI to see what it thinks. Employee compensation is a topic that could maybe be debated endlessly amongst really good managers. There are managers with completely opposing views on how to handle taking care of your employees. I really respect managers that put their employees first, the sorts of leaders that would pay their employees before paying themselves. That's just the sort of people where I think most of us would want to work for. And so I really want it to be the right case, that putting employees first in all circumstances is the right move. DocuSign, already a fairly big company, but not a company that is profitable. Please like and subscribe. The Sage Seeds AI is now going to reveal what ranking this gets in the 2023 season. Pause the video here to take a guess if this is going to rank high or low. It also helps tremendously to explain your reasoning to someone if you are able. DOCU is ranked 30 out of 48 in value for the 2023 season, the 63rd percentile, scoring in the bottom half of companies so far. I'm going to explain what the Sage Seeds AI is picking up on, asking investors to put a pretty significant amount of cash into this business in order to fund salary increases, stock-based compensation bonuses, special payroll bonuses beyond that. All good things, but that's pretty much everything that the money has been used for. There has not been, at least not now, any money left over, you could say for profit, but really for changing the business. There was a 2% increase in the only metric that matters to investors, which is how many more contracts are coming in versus being benefited from. That core engine of what the business is, and certainly is focused on, improved by 2%. 2% is almost no growth, if we're being frank. This year was all about getting employees their raises. Now let's get back to actually making the company profitable. DocuSign very much in the running for being able to climb up these rankings in the upcoming season. Thank you for watching until the end. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please don't hate me for being the big bad capitalist telling people that their raises are biting into investor profits, but I mean, this is the key example of exactly what that looks like. Sage Seeds McScrooge, hoping you'll still consider sharing your wisdom, sharing this video.